Hello, BookTube. It's a beautiful Friday the 13th morning here. I finished reading over in the little book room, and I swung my feet around to the side of the bed, stood up, stretched. I woke up the bean. Then while she was futzing around out here and sort of checking things out overnight, I went out onto the porch in the bright morning sunlight, stretched again, said hello to the construction crew across the street. They said hello to me and once again reminded me that they'd really prefer if I put pants on before I say hello to them. And I collected the morning's mail. Nice big pile of books on the porch, the way ordinary people do. and I thought we'd go through that together. There's quite a few things here, and we start off with something that's absolutely horrifying, which is this. Hope you love it. Thanks. I have no idea which book in this pile this thing is connected to, so I'm a little bit worried about that. So we'll save this, we'll put this aside, and that will be the one, this will be the prize that we hand out to the most squill-worthy book. We'll just assume that is what had it originally. So let's see what we have here to start our day. Oh my, okay. Alright, this is going to be familiar to a lot of you. This is Jeff Vandermeer. This is his new book, which comes out next year, I believe. No, this comes out on December 3rd. Bad timing for a book. This is Dead Astronauts. I don't know if we saw this on this channel or not already. This is... I don't think I have a pub sheet in here. No, I don't. Do I have one at all? No, I don't. This is going to be December science fiction. This comes out in a hardcover in early December. A messianic blue fox who slips through warrens of time and space on a mysterious mission. A homeless woman haunted by a demon who finds the key to all things in a strange journal. A giant leviathan of a fish, centuries old, who hides a secret, remembering a past that may not be its own. 3 ragtag rebels waging an endless war for the fate of the world against an all-powerful corporation. A raving madman who wanders the desert lost in the past, haunted by his own creation. An invisible monster whose name he has forgotten and whose purpose remains hidden. In this book, Jeff Vandermeer presents a city with no name of its own, where, in the shadow of an all-powerful company, lives humans and others. Human and otherwise, converge in terrifying and miraculous ways. At stake, the fate of the future, the fate of Earth, all Earths, including the ones with morning sirens. Wouldn't be a mail haul without them, now would it? Okay, so this is science fiction by Jeff Vandermeer. Great. Let's move on here. Sounds a little amorphous. A lot of times when authors do that, it's because they don't want to buckle down on the plot. But Jeff Vandermeer isn't like that, so this could be really good. Let's see what this next one is. Okay. Alright, this is an author who has never done it for me. We'll see if this works. We'll see if it works this time. This is due any day now. This is due in a week. This is the English language translation by Jeff Love of Until Stones Become Lighter Than Water by Antonio Lobo Antunes. Until Stones Become Water. In this direct and vigorous tale, the award-winning author returns to the subject of the Portuguese colonial war in Angola with a dramatic account of atrocity and vengeance. Drawing on his own bitter experience as a soldier stationed for 27 months in Angola, Lobo Antunes tells the story of a young African boy brought to Portugal by one of the soldiers who destroyed the child's village, and of the boy's subsequent brutal murder of this adoptive father figure at a ritual pig killing. And this is probably a recent book, yes? It's probably recent. 2017 this came out, so... this comes out in late September. I will give it another try. I have read everything in English by this author, and none of it's done anything for me. But there's always hope, right? So let's move on. Let's see what this next one is. There are no boxes this time around. There's quite a bit of cardboard, though. And I've got an early morning bean. My bean is not a morning person at all. Not at all. She's perfectly willing to go for a walk first thing in the morning. But after that, and even during that, during our morning walks, first thing in the morning, usually right at the crack of dawn, are the only times that we go outside where she doesn't scream at people to stop and pat her, wave her paws in the air at the end of her leash and scream at them to stop and pat her. It's the only time that she just walks like a normal dog. All the rest of the time, and no one is safe. And as you can see, she's just really not interested early in the morning. I don't think I have tried now almost literally at every hour of the day and night. Something has changed. I used to be able to make videos on this couch. And I can't anymore. At every hour of the day and night, including in darkness, that is happening at the window. Just a blazing corona of light from outside. Could be the perpetual construction crews, but I don't know what it is. One way or another, I'm going to have to come up with a completely different place to film. And that's not going to please a lot of you, since a lot of you tune in just for Frida. She's not going to be visible anywhere else. Even in Little Book Room, she's only occasionally visible. But we can't. I keep hiding from. Look at that, it's blazing sunlight. It's just a normal day outside. It's not this bright at all. Anyway. Okay. This is. Oh goodness gracious. All right. This is. By Deborah Levy. This is a 2-book package. One of them is The Cost of Living, which comes out in mid-October and is the subtitle is A Working Autobiography. The Cost of Living is an intelligent and exquisitely written modern memoir of the 2-time Man Booker Prize shortlisted author of Hot Milk and Swimming Home. Written in the present tense, this mesmerizing living autobiography captures the flow of a life, interrogating everything and assuming nothing in the search for new freedoms. Okay, so that comes out in mid-October, and if you're getting Deborah Levy in the mail, that's not what you're expecting. And what you're expecting is this next one that came in the same package, which is the hardcover copy of The Man Who Saw Everything, which I liked, and that surprised me. And this also is mid-October here in America. This is the pub sheet describes it as an electrifying and audacious novel about beauty, envy, and carelessness. It is 1988, and Saul Adler, a narcissistic young historian, has been invited to communist East Berlin to do research. In exchange, he must publish a favorable essay about the German Democratic Republic. As a gift for his translator's sister, a Beatles fanatic who will be his host, Saul's girlfriend will shoot a photograph of him standing in the crosswalk on Abbey Road, an homage to the famous cover album. When he waits for her to arrive, he is grazed by an oncoming car, which changes the trajectory of his life. That originally gave me pause when I read this, because that opening scene, it's competently written. Deborah Levy is a competent writer, but it just typifies my problems with contemporary fiction just in toto. Because yes, the main character is grazed by a car, and then the car comes to a stop, and the driver gets out, and they have a conversation, and none of it is real. None of it is even remotely real. Now, you're going to say, well, of course none of it's real. It's a novel, but these are characters who know they're in a novel. They know they're under no obligation to talk like ordinary people, and that drives me nuts. That really does. If you have to do that as a contemporary novelist, then what kind of a commentary are you giving on your ability to move your audience without doing that? I don't know. But the book ended up... It recovered from that right away, and it ended up really pleasing me. Glad to have a finished copy here. One of the rare instances, I might point out, when the U.S. cover design is infinitely superior to the U.K. cover design. Right, so we're making a bit of a mess here, and you're not interested in these things. You're almost comatose. So we'll put those on the floor, get them out of the way, and we'll do this next one. We got some more Friday the 13th Sirens coming, do we? Sounds like it. Yeah. Could be a big one, whenever it is. Could be a big emergency. It's tough to get all excited about big emergencies because I have 60 of these every day. 60 every day. Screaming sirens running by the window. 60 times every day, at least. And sometimes it's multiple sirens. All the fire engines in Greater Boston, all the police cars in Greater Boston, all traveling at 90 miles an hour, heading in that direction. Never anything on the news. These are all false alarms, but nevertheless. Anyway, let's see here. Oh, fantastic. Okay, fantastic. This is one I'm very happy to hold up for you. I would never have thought in a million years. That's 5 since this video started. I would never have thought in a million years that I would ever be holding this thing up for you. I'd never thought in a million years that there would be an American distribution for this book. Uh, and I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled that there is. This comes out. It's out already. In fact, this is a little bit late getting to me. This is from Seed Bank, a publishing wing called Seed Bank, and this is "Listening to the Wind" by Tim Robinson. A restrained, not eye-catching U.S. cover. Probably this was done for price reasons. This is going to be an $18 paperback, or I should say is an $18 paperback at your bookstore. This is from Seed Bank. I don't know what kind of distribution they have. So if you're in, the suburban Chicago area and you have a gigantic Barnes & Noble in your neighborhood, they might not have this. It might not be on their front new release table. You might have to ask for it. But it is American, and you can ask for it, which is amazing. And the reason why I'm amazed is because this is not in any way an American book. Some of you in the UK will know this already. Oh, look at this. Okay, the pub sheet. The front of the pub sheet is all the blurbs that it got from in the UK. And then the entire back of the pub sheet is the review in The Guardian by Joseph O'Connor. So what have we got that isn't that? Anyway, this author wrote an extended hymn of praise, a prose hymn of praise to Connemara, to the language, the people, the customs, the beautiful, beautiful countryside, where I have tramped every inch. I have tramped every inch of the entire area with a great big group of dogs. If you go to Connemara, go to a small village in Connemara and ask the oldest person there, do you remember a time when a strange person came, an American came here with a bunch of beagles? Ask the oldest person in the village if they remember that, and I bet the answer will be yes. Actually, it doesn't even have to be the oldest person. Ask someone, do you remember a time here when someone passed through this village who was American but didn't sound it or dress it or act it, who had a large crowd of beagles with him, and who accumulated a large crowd of dogs while he was here? Our dogs, who suddenly no longer listened to us until he was gone. But I wonder if the book is actually going to tell me anything aside from this Joseph O'Connor review. Well, okay, a little. It tells us a little. Here is Connemara, experienced at a walker's pace. Footstep by footstep, moment by moment, cartographer Tim Robinson takes readers deep into this storied Irish landscape, from bogland to the shorelines to the peaks of the 12 Pins. Here, too, are the region's colorful characters, friends and legends and neighbors, as well as as wild and essential as the countryside itself. Situated at the intersection of map-making and myth-making. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Listening to the Wind is at once learned and intimate, elegiac and magnificent, and exceptionally rich, quote, book about place, which is also about the whole world. That's a quote from Robert McFarlane, who is the author of Underland, I think was the name of it, Underland or Underworld. Wow, okay. Fantastic. All right. So this is distributed by a major distributor in America, so you can definitely get this, even if it's not at your bookstore. And I can't recommend it highly enough. I barely know of anything analogous to it. I automatically think of Wild Whales. Some of you may know that book. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's largely fallen out of popular parlance as well. But this is a modern classic that I'm so happy to have an American distribution of this thing. Fantastic. I don't know anything about Seed Bank. Is it print of Milkweed? I have no real recollection of how they hold up to Steve-style reading. I don't know if this will fall apart on me, but I'll give it a try. Wow. Okay. Kudos to Milkweed for bringing this out. Kudos to them. That is great. It's the type of thing that you would expect would have no American audience whatsoever. And yet here it is. So fantastic. All right. Let's move on. It's tough. It's tough after Irish landscape writing of the absolute first caliber. Wow. All right. So what have we got here? Okay. This is when are we due here? What have you got for me? What have you got for me? Oh, this is a 2020 book. Okay. This is by Anna Wiener, and it's called Uncanny Valley, a memoir. When Anna Wiener had a chance to appear at BEA on behalf of her debut, Uncanny Valley, a prescient page-turning account of her journeys in Silicon Valley, galleys were snapped up and the chatter on social media began. This is the world we live in. This is the book world we live in. Part coming-of-age story, part portrait of an already bygone era, Anna Wiener's memoir is a rare first-person glimpse into high-flying, reckless startup culture at a time of unchecked ambition, unregulated surveillance, wild fortune, and accelerating political power. With wit, candor, and heart, she deftly charts the tech industry's shift from self-appointed world savior to democracy endangering liability, alongside a personal narrative of aspiration, ambivalence, and disillusionment. Okay, well, so it was buzzed at BEA. All right, great. I'm certainly always up for a dirt dishing Silicon Valley memoir. So I won't read this. Of course, now I'm not reading any 2020 books in 2019, but it'll be on my docket. Should I return? Should I be interested in reading? Should I still be a reviewer? All of those ifs, if those are all there, then let's see. Let's move on here. Still not. We haven't got to everything yet, so we're still not sure who's getting the coveted "Hope You'll Love It." But, I have there's a favorite so far, obviously. Let's see here. What have we got here? Okay, this comes out in early November. This is another paperback original. Oh, and it's a debut too. How wonderful! Okay, this is The Widow of Rose House by Diana Biller. The Widow of Rose House. A debut novel is a gorgeous piece of prose with a decidedly dark Victorian Gothic flair and an intrepid and resilient American heroine guaranteed to delight readers everywhere. Prior to penning this novel, Biller had one idea in mind, and the idea is, quote, oh my God, I love my job. The idea is, quote, Edith Wharton, ghost hunter. After touring Wharton's estate, The Mount, and the Vanderbilt Mansion at Hyde Park, New York, she came away with a wealth of inspiration, and The Widow of Rose House was born. It's 1875, and New York's Gilded Age is in full swing. After fleeing her abusive husband, Alva Webster spent 3 years being pilloried in the newspapers of 2 continents. Now he's dead, and she's returned to New York to start over, restoring Liederhaus, the dilapidated Hyde Park mansion for her new home decoration book, and hopefully her reputation in the process. Oh, she has a home decoration book, like Edith Wharton. So when the eccentric and brilliant Professor Samuel Moore appears, threatening her fresh start with stories of haunting her house, she refuses to give him access. Alva doesn't believe in ghosts. A pioneer in electric lighting and a member of the nationally adored Moore family of scientists, Sam's latest obsession is ghosts. When he learns about a house with a surprising number of ghost stories, he's desperate to convince its beautiful owner to let him study it. Can he find his way into her house and her heart? Okay. I would admit be marginally happier if this were about Edith Wharton, but even so. Who is this author? Diana Biller lives in Los Angeles with her husband and their very good dog. Okay. And this is her debut novel. Fantastic. All right. So this is Gilded Age New York ghost hunting. Wonderful. Whereas this comes out in early October, this is going to be in your bookstores as just, a paperback for $18. So, that's still highway robbery, but it's not quite as bad as being $38 or $48. So if that interests you, you might want to, especially since it's a debut novel, you like to show debut novelists some love. So if you have, the extra money or a coupon or a Barnes & Noble membership card or whatever, and you want to give this a try, I'm sure that as a debut author would appreciate it. And it certainly sounds like a hoot. So let's move on here. Edith Wharton, Ghost Hunter. Oh my, okay, this is an international sensation. This is due in September, yes, this is right around the corner. This is the English language translation. Who had the dubious honor of being the translator here? Roz Schwartz is the translator here. This is Christine Ferret-Furey's The Girl Who Reads on the Metro. A wild bestseller elsewhere in the world. In the spirit of Amelie and the elegance of the hedgehog, duly warned, the author's The Girl Who Reads on the Metro is a whimsical, revelatory, and irresistible modern-day fairy tale about a perfectly ordinary French woman whose life is forever changed when she meets a reclusive bookseller and his young daughter. Inspired in part by the program Book Crossing, a website that encourages readers to release their favorite books into the world for strangers to find, this global literary sensation has been sold in 22 countries and is the author's first work to be published in America. Brimming with humor, an unforgettable cast of characters, and one beautifully rendered scene after another, this compact but capacious novel, like all great stories, casts a marvelous spell, reminding us of a power books have to unite us all. Okay, all right. I have actually had friends tell me, hey, you like books. Have you heard of this thing? Is it out in America? Does it have an American edition? I bet you'd like this. It's a love letter to reading. It's a love letter to books. But I know the program that partially inspired this. I don't like programs like that at all. Programs that make some sort of whimsical Merchant Ivory meet cute rom-com idea out of reading. They drive me nuts. That's it's going to be a shriekingly ironic thing for someone on BookTube to say, but reading is a private thing. if you make it into performance art, hey, I'm going to go, to the Strand and specifically get a cute-looking, older, physical copy of a book, specifically so that I can make an image of myself reading in Central Park, ostentatiously showing myself as a faux intellectual in Central Park, and see what kind of attention I get. That's not reading. That's you with a prop. But maybe I shouldn't resist. In fact, I won't resist. Now that this is due, I will read this in the English language translation and just see. Maybe this is, millions of people have loved this thing. And you know what they say, 20 million Frenchmen can't be wrong. So I'll give it a try. In fact, I'll put it close on the docket, since it's out next week. I'll put it high on the docket, and we'll see. Let's see what this next one is. Okay, the University of Chicago Press. Oh, great. Okay, great. Okay, in the UK, there has for a long time been a series of books, little books about animals, about each one a type of animal. I don't believe that the reaction books distributed by the University of Chicago Press, I don't believe that they've brought all of them over. But it's been a huge swath of the macro animal kingdom, and this is one of them. I wish I had them all. This one is by Barbara Allen, and it is Pelican. They're all like this. They all look like this. They have they all have a one-word title where they talk about their animal, whether it's a cockroach or a horse or a bat or whatever. And this one is about Pelican. It's an ongoing series. I wish I had them all. I'm a big fan of this sort of thing. I'll have to ask if maybe Reaction Book has others of them. I think we've seen a couple of them on this channel, but there are those of you in the UK would know better than I am. There are dozens of them now. I wish I had them all. So this comes out in early October. With its distinctive comical walk, large bill, and association with the conservation movement, the Pelican has attained iconic status. As Barbara Allen reveals, this graceful skimmer of ocean waves has a checkered history. Originally classed as unclean in the King James Bible, the legend of the compassionate pelican was later appropriated by Christianity to symbolize Christ's sacrifice. This majestic bird, gifted to British royalty in 1664, has been celebrated in art and literature from Shakespeare's King Lear to the writings of Edward Lear, and is the holder of 3 Guinness World Records. And this is all about that. And that description might give you justifiably a fear that this is just a regurgitated Wikipedia thing. And some of them are, as we mentioned, with books like this, any books like this, whether it's English Monarchs or the very short introduction series or books about passwords or whales or hangovers or jet lag, no matter what it is, when you have a series like this of little books that are all uniformly designed and that are obviously sent by commission to their writers, hey, here's this job. This isn't going to a Pelican expert. This is going to someone who can get the manuscript done and turn in a readable job. When you get a series like that, no matter what it is, you're not going to have uniform quality. Some of them will be better than others. That's why I wish I weren't getting these once in a while piecemeal. I wish I was able to read through them all so that I could pick out the really good ones. Who knows if this will be one or not. The ones that aren't really good will be bad in exactly the same way. They will all be just reworded Wikipedia entries. As if the people who make this series and series like it were unaware that Wikipedia exists and is fully illustrated and is daily updated. So I guess there's some sort of, anachronistic charm to having the thing as a series. But I heard it once described to me, not this series, but something very much like this, had described to me by somebody who said, well, this is for the people who don't use the internet. There's anybody who doesn't use the internet anymore. So, but anyway, I'll read this one. I'm hoping that it's one of the strong ones. That would be great. Now we've got one of these adhesive envelopes that you have to tear apart in little pieces. You have to tear it into little pieces because it is adhesive. All of the pieces are adhesive. It's adhesive on the inside. So if you leave it alone, it's going to be sticking to things. What's the matter, baby? What's the matter with the baby? What's the matter? Really, well, Laura, they're your friends. They're your fans. There you are. How you doing? You waking up? You finally waking up? We gonna go out for a walk? You are the cutest dog. You are the cutest dog. Here. Ooh. Down you go. There you go. All right, so what do we get after the annoyance and the interruption? Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. Okay, oh, this is lovely, too. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. This is the finished copy of a book that's already got quite a bit of attention in America, and it comes out in a week. It's going to get a lot more attention if I'm any judge of these things. This is by P.E. Cockett. This is The Bell of Treason, about Neville Chamberlain and Munich. Let's see here. I think we saw the advanced copy of this. This has had some of the most buzz for a Munich book in quite some time. Okay, so it has a blurb by Robert Paxton, who wrote The Anatomy of Fascism, and it has a blurb by Brendan Sims, who is here called the author of Britain's Europe, but Brendan Sims is also the author of a forthcoming and very good book on Adolf Hitler. So what have we got here? All right, this comes out on the 24th. That's the date. I don't know. If bookstores get it, they'll probably put it out already because it's not going to be embargoed. Drawing on a startling wealth of previously unexamined material. Indeed. As my beloved Rumpole would say, pull the other one. It's got bells on it. But anyway, we'll just plunge ahead here. This book delves beneath a crucial episode in the prelude to World War II, shedding new light on the Allies' responsibility for this landmark agreement with disastrous historical consequences. Now the window light is flashing. As if it weren't bad enough that it was so bright. Now it's flashing. I guess this is just a seasonal experiment, this whole thing. Most of the filming for the winter will be done in a little book room anyway, where light is never a problem, where it's all uniform. And where I have a ton of books in the background, which a lot of you seem to like. So a lot of you seem to prefer this to Philadelphia. With the publication of The Bell of Treason, the history of the events leading to the Munich Agreement and its aftermath is told for the first time from the point of view of the peoples of Czechoslovakia. The author explores the people who tried and failed to resist the Nazis and the foreign politicians who gave their country away. Basing his work on countless previous unexamined sources, including newspapers, radio broadcasts, memoirs, private journals, army plans, and the records from deep inside Czechoslovakian government archives, the author presents one of the most shameful episodes in modern European history in a tragic new shape. Among his most explosive revelations is the strength of the French and Czechoslovak militaries before Munich. Germany's dominance turns out to have been an illusion. In other words, the case for appeasement never existed. Upon returning from Munich on 30 September 1938, after signing a pact with Hitler agreeing to the carve-up of Czechoslovakia, Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain addressed the British crowds with a message of confident reassurance. My good friends, I believe it is peace for our time. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Go home and get a nice, quiet sleep. Winston Churchill commented, "You were given the choice between war and dishonor. You chose dishonor, and you will have war." 1 year later, Britain and France would declare war on Germany. So this is getting notice, and it's going to. I predict it's going to get a lot more notice in America for two reasons. One is, you can tell from that pub sheet, is that it advances a novel theory, which is going to give people a hook to write on. It makes it a very tempting book to review. And the other is that it's not long. It's a short book. So harried reviewers who have, 14 children and, are on their third wife, and they have the house they can't afford, and all of their freelance fees have been flat for the last 30 years. They don't want anything like, for instance, Telford Taylor's 1,000-page book on Munich. They don't want anything like that. They want something shorter. And that's what this is. This works perfectly for that. I have not read it yet. I wonder, is this a translation? No, it is not. As far as I can tell, no, it is not. Okay, well, I'm all for it. I can't wait. I have lots of opinions on Munich, and I'm happy to have all of them displaced by this author. Let's move on. Believe it or not, this is the last book. Another one of these adhesive envelopes where I have actually, over the course of years, I have actually destroyed quite a few books that were in these adhesive envelopes because I couldn't dislodge them without tearing the envelope pieces, and that ended up tearing the book pieces, so that I would just glance at the remains of it and then throw the whole thing away instead of putting it in a manila envelope. I'll never understand that. Okay, what is this? It's a novel. We end with a novel. Okay, this is another paperback original. That's fantastic. And this is by Michael Hoffman. It's translated by Michael Hoffman. It is by Peter Stamm, Stamm, and it's called Agnes. With an exciting American cover. This was shortlisted for the 2013 Man Booker International Prize and was the winner of the 2014 Friedrich Holderlin Prize. This... that applies to Peter Stamm's novels just in general. They are embraced by readers around the world for deft literary hand and revelatory examination of the human experience. And the author's internationally best-selling debut, the eerie metafictional story of a writer's romance, is now available in paperback. So this is his debut, and it's autobiography. When you hear metafiction now, it's autobiography. The novel opens as an unnamed writer whose name is who's Peter Stamm. As an unnamed writer pursues a love affair with a PhD candidate after meeting her at the Chicago Public Library. They took pictures together. They're on social media. Her name is well known. And every detail of their relationship was chronicled on her Facebook and his. Anyway, write a story about me, she said, so I know what you think of me. 2 of my marriages to Deb started that way, and also ended that way. The narrator begins to craft the story of their love, inventing tales of their future together. Agnes, interested in her lover's fantasy, begins to take part in the story. She follows in the footsteps of the fictional Agnes, from wearing the same outfits to experiencing the same emotions. Soon, Agnes becomes dependent on his writing to live out her own life. Okay. All right. Well, this comes out again next week. And this is an English-language translation of this author's debut. And this author is a big deal. So I have never read, as far as I know, I've never read this author. And now I get a chance to start at the beginning. I get a chance to start with the English translation of his debut. Well, wasn't that a mail haul? Okay, so it was Friday the 13th. So we have The Bell of Treason, a revisionary new look at Munich, Neville Chamberlain in Munich. We have The Widow of Rose House, Edith Wharton, Ghost Hunter. We have Uncanny Valley, a memoir about Silicon Valley that was all the rage at BEA. We have Agnes, the author's debut in an English-language translation. We have Pelican, about the bird in question. We have The Girl Who Reads on the Metro, another international sensation that now has an English-language translation. We have The Man Who Saw Everything in the hardcover, in the finished American edition, and The Cost of Living, Deborah Levy's autobiography in progress, written in the present tense. Kind of interesting to do that. We have Until Stones Become Lighter Than Water by Antonio Lobo Atunes. We have Dead Astronomers by Jeff Vandermeer, a science fiction entry for today. And we have Listening to the Wind by Tim Robinson, out from Milkweed, hopefully the first of many of his books that they bring out. And I don't think there's any doubt, there's no hesitation on my part, that this book gets the Hope You Love It, the Hope You Love It prize for today goes to Listening to the Wind. Actually, I shouldn't put this in the book. I'm going to keep this out because we're going to award this every day. It's just too good. We're going to award it every day, the day's winner. So that is fantastic. And that's not a bad mail haul for a morning in September. So I'm going to wrap this up for now and see what the bean is doing. She's thrashing around over there. She's doing something. I will admonish her or I will join in. One or the other. But I'll be back. We have plenty of other bookish stuff to talk about. So I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.